Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to the weekly news wrap-up here on USA Watchdog on Friday the 13th, 2013, the cold December day. This may look a little funny. It looks like I'm on a big parking lot, right? Well, I'm on top that lake you see from time to time. This is the only way us humans can actually walk on the water. It has to be, it's teens or sub-zero temperatures. That's what we have out here now in the Midwest. I mean, this is normally a 2-acre liquid lake, and it is frozen. You can ice skate on it, frozen deep. Well, in the weekly news wrap-up, I have to talk about this deal, the much ado about nothing deal, the more of the same deal, the deal where they don't cut spending and they don't raise taxes. And for that, the Wall Street Journal was out as saying that the deal brings stability to the U.S. budget, that going into debt another $3 trillion in a little more than 3 years, that's stability. We went from a little more than $14 trillion in 2011 to a little more than $17 trillion in just about 3 years. There's something in this deal for everybody to hate. Nancy Pelosi said, get ready for the suck. She thinks it sucks, obviously. John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, he was scolding Tea Party members who, are upset that we went into debt another $3 trillion. How dare anybody get upset we go into debt by, $1 trillion a year in the last 3 years? Just to give you some reference, when Jimmy Carter left office, the deficit was less than $1 trillion. That's about 1980. Less than $1 trillion. Now it's more than $17 trillion, and that doesn't account for everything that we're on the hook for, as Professor Lawrence Kotlikoff and 15 Nobel Prize winners in economics and another 1,000 top-notch economists are all warning and wanting to pass legislation that puts a handle on what we really owe and what we've really committed to. It's more than $200 trillion. That's why he was on in the last week or so talking about the Inform Act. You hearing anything about that? No. But you do hear about this ridiculous budget deal where there's something in it for everyone to hate. We really didn't get much in the way of tax increases. We really didn't get much in the way of spending increases. But hey, it'll smooth everything over for the political season, and everything will hold up all right, won't it? It holds up until the rest of the world figures out America is never intending to pay any of this money back. They are never intending to pay it back. That's when they sell the U.S. Treasury, when they sell U.S. dollars, and we have to live on, actually what we take in every year, which is about $1 trillion less than we're spending every year. About $1 trillion. I think the whole thing's a sham. I don't think we have any leadership on both sides of the aisle. We need some big spending cuts. We probably need a few tax increases, but really more than anything, we need spending cuts to get the budget in line, or at least some kind of a target with spending cuts that you need to have in order to have a vibrant economy where your currency is worth something. I just want to touch briefly on the China-Japan situation, the Senkaku Islands. That's going on hot and heavy. There's reports out in Japan that they're talking about war in January. I mean, it's just a giant game of chicken. Japan's economy not doing well. They're depending on the printing press. China's economy not doing well. They're on the verge of a giant real estate meltdown. And that's the number one and number two holder of U.S. debt. That's why everybody in America should be frightened out of their minds if this thing really gets out of control. Either way, whoever we back, China or Japan, because we can't be, a master to two, any way you cut it is going to be some kind of disaster in the Treasury market, I think, if these guys really actually make a mistake and come to blows. Next up, I want to talk about the Ukraine. People are protesting there. They want to move closer to the European Union, and, management, the politicians want to move back closer to Russia, and boy, are they having a giant, colossal-size protest in the Ukraine. Not a word from the Obama administration. Don't you think that's bizarre? I mean, this is a very big Eastern European country. It wants to break free of Russian dominance, and not a word by all these massive protests. I mean, they're about this close to like civil war, it seems to me. It's very, very dicey in the Ukraine, and not a word by, the United States. And finally, I just want to bring up one last thing that's really important, and that is, hold on. Yes, here we go. I just want to bring up one more thing. It's cold, folks. I'm sorry. I'm not going to recut this. Think about all the money printing we've had. I mean, it's at least $1 trillion a year. That's what they admit to. Guests like Fabian Calvo says that, his sources say it's 1.25. It's close to, $1.5 trillion, printed every year to prop up the economy. And we ought to have things taken off like a rocket, shouldn't we? Real estate market, stock market has done well. But even with all this, take a look at this headline. I think this is ominous with all this money printing. Profit warnings reach peak. I mean, it says right here that this is the worst profit preseason they've ever had on record. And this with at least a stated $1 trillion a year Fed money printing bonanza, and nobody can really make all that much headway in terms of profits. I think that sooner or later that the stock market will have one bumpy downhill ride. Of course, I'm coming to you from the Midwest. They had a banner year out here for crops. They're a pretty good year anyway. A lot of people are driving new vehicles, new trucks. You're seeing new equipment in the fields. The economy in the Midwest, not bad, and that, of course, is predicated on how well they did in the crop season, and they didn't do bad. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for all your comments on USA Watchdog. Thank you for using the donations button. That does help us out. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com.